Hello and welcome to Atomic Facepalm. I am Chris.
And I'm Bree.
And this week it's Atomic Facepalm Weekly, episode 13. Thanks, folks, for tuning in. If you'd like to leave a comment, go ahead and do so. We do read them, and we'd love to hear from you guys. And also subscribe to make us very, very happy. So this week, we're going to start off with what we've been playing. In a little segment I like to call Playing with Fire.
Are you asking what games I played this week?
Yes, I am, Bree.
How about you first?
Me first? Okay. So I've been playing Strafe. I'm actually going to do a bite-sized review on that for the sole reason that I am not talented enough to beat the game. It's almost like, I don't know if anyone's beat this game yet. So Strafe came out recently, last week. I was really looking forward to it. I am a huge Quake guy, and this is inspired by Quake 1 and Quake 2 and some Doom. They threw in some roguelike elements. There's permadeath, procedurally generated levels, and actually that's some of the stuff I don't enjoy that much.
Yeah.
It's also very, very buggy, which I actually thought was maybe on purpose, just because, it's like a throwback 90s game. I don't think it was on purpose.
Oh no.
So it's been patched a lot, though. So, for what that's worth, which we'll get into in one of our discussions.
And this is one of your most anticipated games,
It was, yeah. I really thought it was going to be a different game. So Strafe is straight up a 90s first-person shooter. They had some really good marketing. Really good mark. Probably some of the best marketing. And I'm going to link
that below because that trailer for this release of this game is just worth watching even if you're not interested in the game.
Yeah.
Just
really strong, like 90s, over-the-top type of comedic elements. I would almost argue that marketing's better in the game to a certain degree.
Okay.
So I'll go into all my thoughts and details in the bite-sized review. Again, because to get to the very end, I haven't even beat the first level, technically. It's like level 1, 2, and 3, or level 1-2, 1-3, etc., and then 2-1. It's really hard, but it's hard not because necessarily it's really challenging. It's hard because the level generation is a bit off. So when you start off, you're just in a corridor, and all of a sudden the monsters rush you. It's like, well, what do you do? Like, you can't just like go through them. So there's a lot of that, and I've noticed that's been echoed through a lot of other people's reviews, like Total Biscuit, a few other streamers, and reviews from other journalism sites too. So the game is a little tough right now. I imagine that will be fixed, but we can't. Again, we're going to get into this in some detail very soon. You can't bank on that. This is the game as it is now. So I will withhold judgment until we do the review, which will be coming out this week. So you can look forward to that. Again, I'm very mixed on it. Very up and down.
Kind of wait to buy kind of game.
Yeah, I think
Pay
so.
attention and wait to buy if you're interested in it. Yeah.
I'd love to talk about it more, but I feel like I should probably just do that in the review. And I've also been playing Darkest Dungeon, a really good game that we reviewed a long time ago. I don't know, it just got took in for some reason.
Yeah.
Maybe because the DLC is coming out soon, the Crimson Court. And I'm really excited for that. They also added some
rednecks.
Lovely. They also added some, I wouldn't call it DLC. Jesus Christ. Sorry, a rocket ship just flew by.
Or a guy with a truck.
God damn it.
And a small penis.
They also added some DLC, I guess you could call it. So there's some extra characters they put in, which I didn't realize because they're in like the harder dungeons.
Oh, you mean like mini bosses?
Not characters, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Like enemy characters.
Oh,
No. But they were talking about that, I think, for the actual DLC. But for the game you get now. So there's some really hard like bosses, mini bosses they put in, and just some really buffed up normal characters. Having a hard time with that. Again, this is a game where I had on the shelf for, 5 months, something like that, since we reviewed it. Maybe less.
Maybe less, because I think January is when you were playing it.
Yeah. And we both played quite a bit of it, actually. So getting back into it was tough. The learning curve, I had to reacclimate myself with all the rules of the systems and stuff. But no, man, I would love to play that game right now. It's so, so good. And I was wondering, that was one of those games where I was like, will this be on my top list of whenever? And it probably will. It's really holding up very, very well. So good stuff for Darkest Dungeon, folks. We also played a lot of VR this week.
We did a good VR night. We actually didn't do Overwatch night because everybody kind of was sick.
You were sleepy.
We had a sick, busy week. Everyone was sick or we were doing something. But we played a VR night, which was fun. Fruit Ninja. The arcade games seem to hold up the best for
Yeah.
VR. So we played
Mini
Fruit
games.
Ninja. Yeah, Fruit Ninja and Space Pirate Trainer.
Yeah, which you're really good at.
I know. It feels so, because I'm never really good at games. And I watch you
definitely
do
good at
it, and
that
I
one.
was like, you did not, or maybe you're really bad at it.
So probably that's part of it. The other part of it was like, so we played it, and it's been a couple weeks, I think, since we both been in VR. Just because, again, we have that issue where your PC, Bree's PC, is the VR machine. So if you're playing VR, it's like you can't do anything else.
And
on
I
that
feel like
PC.
I need to always be editing video or playing a game so that I can do a video so that
Yeah.
I can edit video.
Like, and again, this was one of those issues we pointed out. Maybe less so for people who aren't quite as busy as us, but I feel like it's still an issue where you really want a dedicated VR box. I feel like to make it work. It's like you need a VR console of some sort, or a VR like dedicated box to just have somewhere else, because it's tough. It's like if we have the kids playing or I'm playing, it's like, well, what do? You just kind of
That and where your PC is not always the best place to do VR.
yeah.
So it doesn't,
But getting back to Space Pirate Trainer, great game, by the way. It's a really good game. Just because I suck at it doesn't mean you shouldn't play it. Like I jump into it, I'm doing all right. I'm like, I got like a 5,000 score. Did I beat it? She's like, let's just take a look at the leaderboard. What'd you get? Like 25,000.
I think it's like 25, 26, 18, 19,000. I got like the top 6.
I don't know why I suck at that game so much. I'm pretty good at Fruit Ninja. I'm pretty good at Robo Recall. I just suck at Space Pirate Trainer.
I think you used the wrong gun. Gun choice is what I think is going wrong there.
I tried that other gun,
You gotta,
and I
you
did
did
worse.
do the one that's like pop, pop, pop.
I did
pop.
that one.
Oh, really? Because that one, where you point is where it hits. So there's another gun where it kind of trails behind.
Okay.
It's like doo 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 and trailing.
That's like the automatic
That's
one, right?
that's the first gun.
That's what we thought. We didn't even know you could change weapons in this game. So you have to like press down on the thumbstick, which was kind of weird on the touch controller. So we were just using that by default, and you still got like crazy good scores, even with that.
I'm good with that gun as well. I can't
Yeah.
use any others.
But you were saying where you point is where you shoot. If you're a good aimer, yes. Apparently my aim sucks.
So how do you play the other game?
Splash damage, shotguns.
Oh.
Like just quantity over quality. Because I do like in Robo Recall, I use those double revolvers, so I'm just like spraying and praying the whole time. I do a lot of melee in that game too.
You do. You pull them apart. I
Yeah.
don't like that.
So I guess if I was in Warhammer 40,000, I would be an assault character, not a range. You'd be like a Havoc, like from Chaos
Drop
Space
in
Marines. Yeah. So, did we play any other VR games?
I think you played Robo Recall. I did not.
Yeah, and I also did Google Earth. They have a little app, and it's actually really cool. Another issue, which we touched on in the review, is a lot of these require an insane system requirement. So, like, Google Earth was struggling. And again, you don't have a bad computer. Like, it was
I think
taking...
that's just loading up the files because it's so
is.
asset heavy. There's just
Yeah.
you're not gonna have a computer that can really.
You would need, like, a pair of GTX 1080 Ti's, if not more, maybe a pair of Titans, probably, like, oh my god, I don't know.
And
80
is it
gigabytes of-
downloading anything, or is all the data on my computer already?
It's all there as far as I know, because it says like when you start up the app Google Earth for VR, it takes a long time to load. So presumably it's getting all those textures and assets in, but then to render them, it still takes a while. Much like if you were going through a first-person shooter and you're going around corners, behind the scenes, your video card and processor, everything else, trying to render all that stuff before you get there, and then when you don't, it hiccups and you get frame skips. It's like that. So it was like, oh, cool, but I just don't think it's good for, it's probably for like NASA computers or something.
I didn't try it.
But it was fun. It was really neat. Low motion sickness, because it's like that thing, it's like your satellite moving over. So it's like, whoa. But, yeah. I also had my first bout of nausea. And we were doing a lot of VR, but it was a couple hours, I feel like.
Back and forth.
Back and forth, yeah. And I was in Robo Recall, and it was like a cityscape where you're really high above it, and I actually had to stop. I started feeling myself like getting vomity. So it's my first exposure to like, oof, that really made me feel kind of icky. Yep. Well, before I forget, this week's episode is brought to you by two products. Not really, we're just... we have Fiddlehead Second Fiddle, a double IPA, and then we also have...
Giant bag of Sour Patch Kids, which is so delicious.
These things are so good. And again, we're not like actually endorsed by any of these. We
But people believe that
Yeah.
Sour Patch gives a shit what we're doing.
With our 48 subscribers, we really get those endorsements so much. But yeah, no. So I feel like a good mix of games.
Yeah,
and that was just for me. So what have you been playing?
I played the same games as last week. I'm still on Little Nightmares. It's such a cool world, but some things are so persnickety about how you jump and how you interact with things and whether you're gonna kind of stick to a wall or not. Mm-hmm. I'm having trouble with it.
Are you okay with talking about that just for a little bit? Like I know we have a review coming up, but
if I finish it, I really just need to push ahead.
It looked like you're getting a little frustrated with one part, and I was going to talk about that part too because I had issues with that part.
So, and then I watched a video of it, and all the guy that does it correctly he's just one step over. So where I'm standing, if I jump at that thing, I hit it and I just slide off.
Yeah.
Where if I move over one step and then jump to hang onto the wall, he does it just fine.
Because that particular part I did okay, and I was like, ooh, I wonder if that's a bug.
No, I don't think so. I watched somebody else, and that was the same problem. The only other time I got stuck on it was the same time I was supposed to jump out onto a kind of floating big block that's hanging there, and I'd jump and I'd just miss. And I was like, okay, well, next time I'll move over. And because it's hard to it is a 3D world, even though it's side-scrolling.
Spatial awareness is lacking.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's me. Or
wasn't, well, I mean, maybe it's just us, but I had the same issue with that floating platform. Because it's like your guy is here, and your platform is here, and you're trying to line it up, right? But it's like a 3/4 view, and you'd be like way over here. When
it's like an MC Escher kind of deal, where my brain just can't be like, that block does not look like where they're saying it is. Mm-hmm. And just a couple of times, like trying to grab onto something or interact with something, your character's a little like a boat. It's not that really responsive controller stuff. You're more like steering a boat, and they're a little wiggly all over.
Yeah, it's not like Prince of Persia, a very old game people may or may not be familiar with, where it's very fluid animation and everything is it's almost like parkour. Mm-hmm. This game is not that.
No.
I had issues with the controls. I died numerous times in Little Nightmares, not because I felt like I did anything wrong, just because it was...
Like, I'm misinterpreting the way the world is, which should be, one time through, sure. 2, 3 times, I'm just like, okay, that does not... To the point where I'd jump out onto something, check, and then start the roller going before I'd start to jump again. I don't know.
Have you got to the final boss yet?
No.
Okay, so we won't go into spoilers here, not time for it, but the controls really screwed me over numerous times in the boss, and it pissed me off. Like I almost quit the game.
And that control thing is making me not want to finish it up because it's not a long game, and I really could just sit down and finish and plow through it. But every time I run into one of those control issues, I'm just like, I'm done.
Oh,
I'll go play Prey.
You mean you're gonna talk about your own personal experience with the game and give it a negative score because it was not enjoyable?
You want to talk about that next?
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So Little Nightmares, I'm not loving it. I have to say, above and beyond, though, the style, like the cohesive tone of that game is so awesome. I wish that I liked the game a little bit more.
Yeah, it's a tough game, and I feel like that's the theme of the week or the last few weeks. Are games that they do one thing really well, and they do one thing or a couple things really badly. Mm-hmm. Because I agree, Little Nightmares, the context behind it very strong. I like how it's a quick game, but man, just a few other areas are too rough to ignore.
I almost want to see it as like not a children's book, but like a book of illustrations. Like it's just such a cool, like every little, section that you're in, just you could take a snapshot right there and be like, that is so cool.
Yep.
Everything looks great.
People were saying it was better than Inside, and I will go ahead and say no.
Gameplay-wise, no. Inside had gameplay, like, it was beautiful.
Yep.
It was like the most seamless just play kind of game I think I've experienced in a while.
Made zero sense at the end of it, but yeah, the game was good.
I have other issues, but it was a good game. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then I've been playing Prey, which this week I'm not hurrying through it. This is not a game that you want to hurry through.
No, it's long.
It is long, and so I might just do a first impressions kind of review and then just take my time with it. Because each room is built in a way that you can address it in different ways and come at it from different angles. And it's almost more fun to kind of explore the room and see all the ways you could kind of figure out what you need to do or do different things. Like you don't just come at it and kill everybody in the room. You also want to maybe sneak or do things.
Yeah, and I have not played it yet, just because, again, we're in that area where it's kind of bombarded with different games. So, again, I've been playing different stuff, but it looks fun. It looks like the type of game I probably would enjoy. But, again, we had a lot of preface this week for the topics we're going to talk about, but Prey's going to come out very soon for other reasons. But like overall, it sounds like you're having fun.
I'm having fun for the most part. I can see how if you just went through that game and just killed things and did it that way, because it's not. I don't think it's that hard. That just going through and head on and killing every monster in every room,
Right.
as a way to approach things would make it such a more boring game.
Yeah. In other words, just running and gunning straight forward, right? Not
Yeah,
really
where there's so
exploring
much stuff where you can do this little thing or find that key or open this box.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, Bethesda really, they haven't made very many bad games that I can think of, or even like subpar games. Usually they have a strong track record. I didn't play Dishonored 2, but those are well-received, good games. This one, for the most part, I think has gotten good reviews, with the exception of a few we'll talk about. So, I'm a big Bethesda fan. I'll probably play it at some point. I just don't know if I'll have time to do it soon.
I can't say that the story is grabbing me. It's not something where I care about the world too much or the story, but the systems and the gameplay itself is pretty fun.
Yep.
And the environment are really the well-planned little maps.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff hidden. Like there'll be guides everywhere. It's like you could do this in 10 minutes and find the shotgun or do this. So it depends on how you approach the game, what you get, and how you do it.
Yep. Looks good. You've also been playing a mobile game, I believe, on your smartphone.
It's like a Matchlands.
Yeah.
There's like a Kotaku article about it, and I was like, oh, I'll try that. It's a free-to-play game, and with all the different free-to-play timers and gems and whatevers. Mm-hmm. It's kind of cool because it's that match 3 kind of thing, like Bejeweled.
Yeah,
but
Puzzle
you have
Quest.
Puzzle Quest, exactly, where you're attacking with those, but you have a very set time to do your matches. So you kind of look at the board, plan out that you're going to do match before the timer runs down, and then that's your attack. And then they attack you, and then you get your board again, and you've got a set timer to do all your matches really quickly to add to that attack.
That sounds super fun, to be honest with you.
It would be fun if it wasn't a free-to-play game. Like, I always run into that where it's like, I gotta buy the coins, or I'm like, can't I just pay for this game up front and just do it without having to do this stupid timer management?
I really wish all free-to-play games would just learn to put a complete buy option.
Yeah,
well,
they
people don't have
don't.
to deal with that.
That's not the model. The model
No, I
is
know,
to keep
because
your
you want to,
carrot and stick thing.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's it for me.
Again, pretty strong repertoire between the two of us this week. A lot of games going on.
I want to finish Little Nightmares.
I kind of forgot we didn't do the review on that. That totally skipped my mind for some reason.
Yeah, and I want to finish that up, do the review on that, and Old Man's Journey comes out next week, which I want to play.
Huh. Did we talk about that one yet? That one doesn't sound familiar to me for some reason.
I don't know if we talked about it on here, but it's really interesting where it's like a 2D world, flat, like different layers of hills, and then you move between those different areas.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of a 2D game, but almost 3D too. It looks like a short, puzzly, styly thing.
Yep. Okay, so we talked about this already a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and jump into the main topic of our show this week. This is the Talk and Squawk.
Featured discussion.
Yep. So I'm going to call it the Week in Review, because I love puns so much. Controversial reviews. So we talked about Prey. We talked about perhaps giving an opinion and assigning a score based off one's personal experiences and their opinion. Well, as it turns out, all those things are part of reviews, usually. So, IGN's Dan Stapleton reviewed Prey earlier this week. He played it. He did not get all the way finished with it because he encountered some pretty terrible game-breaking bugs. When we say game-breaking, and you can read the whole article, it's a little different now, which we'll get into because it got patched. But he got to a certain point. I think he was like 30 hours into it. He was playing through, he was enjoying it, and then he got all these bugs that stopped him from playing. He corrupted his save files. He got in touch with the developers. Developers sent him new save files that put him back 20 hours.
No, the first time his save file got corrupted, and then he said, okay, fine, I'll go back to an earlier save. Started playing from there. Then some other bug happened.
Yeah, there were numerous bugs.
Then he contacted the developer. They gave him another save file. That one got corrupted too, and he kind of was just like, yeah, I'm done.
It was like incompatible or something. Yeah. Without going into the exact details, and you can read the article, because of that, obviously, as I hope most people would expect, but apparently not, it did not get a good score initially.
A numerical score.
So IGN does a 0 to 10 scale. And so when this came out, Dan Stapleton gave it a 4 out of 10. as you might. Again, it's surprising me and it's not surprising. We saw this a little bit before with Little Nightmares.
It happens all the time.
Or not Little Nightmares, I'm sorry. Night in the Woods. But that was like less concrete because the guy didn't like refer to any reviews in particular.
I see, just a little bit ago, what's his name? Jim Inquisition didn't love...
Jim Sterling.
Yes, didn't love Breath of the Wild. Like, he didn't give it a 10, he gave it a 7 and said it was a great game.
Oh, that's right.
That was people fucking foaming at the mouth.
Yeah. So...
It happens all the time. It's a pretty old thing that happens where you get people that are just so into a game and think it deserves this or that. I don't know.
Yeah. So here's what happened with Dan's review. If you go and look at it now, it's an 8 out of 10. So he went back because they went and they actually patched it, and he went back and re-reviewed it. Give it an 8 out of 10. Okay, fine. So here's what initially happened. There was tons of controversy over numerous topics. So one of them, reviewers are corrupt. You always hear that. And guys, maybe there are corrupt reviewers out there. Again, I have a lot of experience in this industry. I specifically worked for PC Gamer Magazine, which at the time was a massive publication, print and web. Now, I'm not saying that to like fluff my own feathers here. I'm saying that I was friends with a lot of reviewers in the industry, and it's the opposite of being corrupt. Like, never, ever was there a time where a game developer approached anybody I know of and was like, "We'll give you all this money, and then give us a good review score." It's never happened.
So I mean, if you're saying he's corrupt, imagine if he had written the article as is. I couldn't finish the game. There were so many bugs. It seemed kind of cool. 10 out of 10. Wouldn't that seem like he was getting money from the game developer? So, and I actually haven't read the new 8 out of 10 article. I hope that he leaves all that information because, I think it was very clear. As the bottom of the article, it says 4, and then it gave a nice paragraph to the side that summed up, really great game. I'm really enjoying it, except for game-breaking bugs.
If anything, I would say Dan went above and beyond what you would normally see in a review covering something like this. Normally, honestly, if you have game-breaking bugs, that shit's a 0. A 4 is pretty generous. And I think that speaks to how good the game was without the game-breaking bug. As we saw now, it's an 8 out of 10 now. So him giving, we're going to get into this too, where what's a 4, what's a 0, what's a 1? Well, that's a whole different discussion. But he gave it a 4. That was actually, for me, higher than I thought it would have been. So here's what people were saying about Dan specifically. We're just calling him out here because this is like the most recent controversy here. So for what that's worth. People were saying he was corrupt because he gave Dishonored 2 and Fallout 4 good scores, but they have bugs. Yeah, they didn't have game-breaking bugs. You know what I mean? Like, everything isn't in balance. So I don't know of any game that's released without bugs. We get it. There are small bugs, there are medium bugs, and there are fucking bugs that you cannot deal with. This was one of those. And
it wasn't just one game-breaking bug, it was like 3, really, for him. Mm-hmm. And yes, it's going to get patched, but at the current moment, it isn't. And so his review at that moment is a 4. And, I think the problem is that people look at the 4, they freak out, they're like, oh my god, I can't believe he gave it a 4, without reading. He took the time to write paragraphs and paragraphs about his experience, about the things he liked. A review, it's a 4 so you click into it, or it's a 4 so that you can see it really quickly and see, what you want. But if you don't click in and actually read the review and then you're going to go out and scream at somebody, it's like, I don't know.
So here's the problem that we ran into, and this will tie into a discussion we're going to have very soon about review scores in particular. What we discovered, at least when I was in the journalism industry full-time for gaming, is a huge majority of people don't read reviews to buy the product. They read the reviews to justify their purchase, specifically the scores. So the issue is they'll go to the end of the article, look at the score, and they'll go, well, I already bought this game. I'm enjoying it. This doesn't agree with my opinion of the game. Therefore, this person is wrong. And it's almost like a human reaction. I do the same thing. To be completely transparent here, I do that. When we started playing Darkest Dungeon, I really enjoyed it. I kind of went to YouTube and reviews and was like, I just kind of looked at the ones that were good, I don't know if
really?
It's to a certain degree, and I kind of caught myself doing it and had to stop because I don't want that to influence me. But I mean, I already knew what I love the game, but a lot of people do that.
I usually want to read through there and see if I missed something, not so much, but just like a different perspective on something. But I don't really care what they rate it. Numbers, don't matter to me that much.
But oh man, do they matter to so many people?
I know.
Like, holy shit. And again, it's like people, it's like they've already spent the money. God forbid someone have something bad to say about their cherished game that they bought. And that happens so often. Not all the time, but again, a large majority. I don't remember the exact percentage, but it was pretty staggering. One of the other issues that came up, and this is a just mind-bogglingly weird one to me, was people actually were saying, well, he gave the game a low score, and that affects people's jobs because Metacritic is how games are judged. Well, so reviewers are just supposed to give games high scores because people's jobs could be affected by that? How is that the reviewer's fault? Metacritic is a totally separate entity that not many people think is a good thing to begin with.
Nobody really does. But if you're working at a job where your entire salary is based off of review scores, like sure, if you get a bonus, I can see getting a bonus if you get like a 10 out of 10 or profit sharing kind of thing. But if like your actual pay is based off of scores on a website, you should find another job. Like, that's not cool. They're treating you like shit there. And that's not the reviewer's fault, and nothing's going to change if they review it. I don't know. Just... Ugh.
And then what happens if every game is a high score? Then what's the point, you know? What's the point of even having a Metacritic system? Like, you can't just have a system that has 100 points all the time. That defeats the point of having a system. Mm-hmm. That's inflation to the nth degree. So that, again, that's a pretty silly one in my opinion. The other one that was brought up, and this one was the most, I think, commonly talked about one, was it might be patched. Therefore, it's probably going to be patched. So you should just pretend like it's going to be patched and reviewed off of that. What? Like, what? You're suggesting that the reviewer gives the score just assuming something's going to be patched. This is where I'm really struggling not to go crazy here. Like,
what I don't understand is how can he give it any score? You know, he didn't finish it. He didn't see the end result. I guess he could read someone else's experience, but that's not one where you can. Sure, if there's a few bugs, let's imagine that they're going to be patched, like an inventory bug or something. But it's a game-breaking bug, meaning you didn't finish the game.
Not by choice.
Yeah.
It's not like it's like, screw it. I'm just going to go play some other games. I don't like this one. No. Again, I think he went above and beyond. I really do. So I'm going to go ahead and read a quick couple quotes actually, and this was on Twitter. So Ubisoft Quebec Stephen Rhodes said, and again, not trying to single you out, but I am singling you out because you wrote it on Twitter, so it's fair game. He said, "What really breaks my heart is all the people who worked hard to make this game feeling shitty because one person had a bug occur." Here's another one. "It's not like the devs made this happen intentionally, but that doesn't matter. A mistake happened, so they must be eternally punished."
Eternally.
Forever.
At
least until he gave it an 8.
Yeah, like less than a week later.
And look, we know how it feels. Like these videos we're doing now, they take a lot of time to edit, they're hard. And when someone says something like, hey, your sound sucks and your lighting's crappy, it hurts, but you know, they're probably right. So I understand that when you slave over something, you put your heart and soul into it. But again, if they read the review, it was actually very complimentary.
Yeah, besides the fact that the bug happened and it's a game-breaking bug and whatever. So I think this comes up a lot where it's like the reviewer had a different experience than you and you want to make their experience be the same as yours. You want their opinion. You know what I mean? That's just not the way the world works. And not every review is going to be exactly what you're going to think.
Sure.
I mean, even if you sort of agree with them, they might like things better or it's just... I expect the reviewer to give their honest opinion of what happened with them when they played this game.
Even in Dan's Twitter bio, it actually says, if my opinion's different than yours, don't freak out, which I find hilarious. They, I guess, didn't read his bio. But yeah, that's with anything, whether it's art or movies or books. I'm pretty sure people are going to have different opinions, and some might not like the things you're doing. That's just the way it is. In this case, it wasn't even that. He liked the game. He just couldn't play the game, you know? So I don't know about having people being punished eternally. Again, I think every other website reviewed this game very well. I can't presume to think what developers were feeling. Apparently he can, but I don't think they read his review.
Pretty freaked out.
Yeah, I guess. But it's like we're talking about. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Yeah. Which was a quote by Richard Cobbett, and that was a good quote because as reviewers, now I'm not going to say reviewing games is the toughest job ever. It's it's what it is, but you're in a tough spot. Right? Because if you score a game at 10 out of 10, you're corrupt, you're on the take, If you get a low score, then you don't know what you're talking about. You're a terrible
You're
reviewer.
biased against whatever.
Yeah, if you give a game a 7 out of 10, you hate the game. It's like I don't know if you can ever win. And on the same note, this is what really drives me nuts over everything else. Publishers and devs will plaster excellent review scores and pull quotes all over their products, right? So they're perfectly okay with reviews as long as they're positive. They'll even use them for their own gains.
Sure.
But if there's a negative review, the world is ending.
See, I actually don't feel like this comes from devs 99% of the time. I think it's fans more than anything, or the general internet at large that freaks out.
That's true. It's a vocal minority.
Yeah. It is, and an extremely vocal minority usually, where it's like they don't even bother to click in or read an article or, have some empathy and understand the full deal before they start freaking out.
And that is a rule of consumerism. And not that I'm a professional business analyst, but I've studied websites, Mini Wargaming, which I'm a big fan of. One of their founders talks about that, where he's like, you have to understand that most people, if they're happy with a product, won't say a word. But if there's something that bugs them, they're immediately vocal. And again, so it's that vocal minority. And I think that's what a lot of this is. The other thing is games change constantly now. So reviewing it is really tough because they literally change every day. Like I was saying with Strafe, for me, the 3 days I played it, there's 3 patches, So it's really tough to kind of, and maybe that gets into, well, are reviews always living? Should they change? And in this case, it did. With Dan.
In print media, I expect there to be updates within it if there is, something that's updated to their review.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the benefits. Like a video review, you can't get that kind of annotation, fix it over, whereas a text review, you can obviously keep adding to it.
Not in magazines, though.
No.
They're going away. I get that.
I feel really sad saying it, but I can't remember the last time I read a review in a magazine.
Sigh.
I can't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't wait that long. I need it now. Whatever.
So we were going to talk about should games have review scores. Maybe we should table that for now in the case of time and talk about that later.
So maybe just a quick little, what is your opinion on that?
So my opinion, this is tough because I've been on both sides of this. When I was at Game Central, before I was at PC Gamer, we were largely against review scores. Then when I got to PC Gamer, I talked to our editor-in-chief, who was Logan, and a few other guys there, and they made a pretty compelling discussion why review scores are important. And really it came down to games are a product. Games are a tangible piece of media, much like a car or, again, a movie or something, and because of that, you can rate it. So, for example, this Godzilla doll, right? You could say, well, he's only got a few points of articulation, his head doesn't move, it's pretty crappy painting. You can kind of point out things, and you could say, because of all of that, I have a rubric. If you go that route, he's a 5 out of 10 or 55, or whatever you want to do. So the idea is you're buying a product, and you want to kind of know where that product lies on a scale.
Yeah.
And I was like, that makes sense. I was younger, not all that experienced at first, not suggesting to people who don't want review scores are that way. Because, for example, Rock, Paper, Shotgun, a very popular website for PC only, does not have review scores. Edge Magazine, which is one of the most famous and popular magazines, and I think they're still out there, they don't have review scores. Pretty much every YouTuber in existence and streamers don't have review scores, like Total Biscuit. Just talk about it and you say whether you like it or not, like we do. But then everyone else does. The problem is everyone has different review scores, right? It's not like just this one thing. You've got 5 dolphins out of whatever. You've got, just as an example, you've got stars. You've got percentage system. You've got 0 to 10. It's just there's so many different ways. So that's the other part of it for me.
Oh, you think everybody... I think it's if you take it at face value and then that's all if you just look at the review score, then you're being an idiot on anything. Like you go to Amazon and it's like 3 out of 5 stars, and then you buy something else that has 1 review and it's 5 out of 5 stars. You're being an idiot without reading why people think the way they think.
And that was the main discussion we had at Game Central, which is we felt, and probably the same reason folks like Rock, Paper, Shotgun don't have them, is when you have a review score, the first thing the human will do, go down to the bottom, look at the review score, won't read the review. And I was like, there's some weight to that. So you kind of have to read. If you want to know what Rock, Paper, Shotgun thinks of a game, you have to read the review or pull out paragraphs, etc. There's nothing to go by. You read it or you don't. The problem was when I was at Game Central, no one read the reviews. I don't know if people have that problem. Clearly, YouTube doesn't.
No, but I guess in a text, I'm trying to think of like Polygon, they'll have their reviews. It's like a picture of the game, and then there'll be the score.
Right.
And then to read anything about it, you got to click into it. I do like seeing that as the gateway to the full review. Kind of getting an quick glance what they think of it.
Yeah. Me personally, I like review scores, like for the reason I just said. After having more experience with games and hardware, I find it valuable.
But it's not the only thing. Like, so in this case, if they had replaced that 4 with just the paragraph of text that was next to it, that would have been just as good for me. Just,
Sure.
This is my score is a paragraph. That would work the same way that the number works. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's in my ideal world, I think a lot of sites do this very well, IGN included, and Polygon, right? You have good, long description, and you've got a lot of comprehensive text supporting the score.
Yeah.
That's really what you want. What you don't want is to have a review score in a 400-word review. That's where you get into trouble, I feel like.
Yeah. No, and I have no problem with any kind of either, a review score is basically a 1-digit summary of the entire article. And if you're just going to look at that, then that's stupid.
Yeah.
But if it had a paragraph of text or a short sentence as a summary, that's fine too. I don't know.
But then again,
they're equal to me.
Like you said, you have that thing where it's like if it's a 7 out of 10, apparently for whatever reason that's bad. So I just don't know if there's really any winning necessarily.
I feel like lately that more games, maybe it's because there's more good games, that the scores tend to be more in the 8 range.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In general, if you look at most games, unless it's tanking and it's 2 or 3, it's more likely 8 or 9.
Yeah. And I will say I enjoyed the percentage system we used at PC Gamer because you had that granularity.
Yes. So there's a big difference between a 79 and an 82.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. And really I don't know of any other sites that use the percentage score, which is, I mean, I'm sure there are some, but none that I can think of. And I really like that because that was also, if you had a really awesome game that happened to have one bug, you can give it like a 98, right? So you can really kind of get down to it. And like you said, then you've got those very specific references. And I like that. Maybe not many people do, but for what it's worth. Anyway, we've talked about it for a while. What we're trying to say here is just,
read people's work before you judge them.
Yeah, absolutely. Judge someone based off their work, not based off of a game you think should get a good score.
Yeah. I mean, I think the people that were upset are not going to listen to that advice. I think that's just those people.
Okay, so here's the plan. The last few weeks we've been doing a lot of discussion, a lot of in-depth talk about gaming news, or not news really, but more about stuff that's been happening in the news, like this week with the review controversy. Next week we're going to go back and do some more news stories, kind of mix it up a little bit. We're going to do some gaming highlights on games we think you should be playing. But I feel like this week this was a very big topic, and I felt like it was good to explore it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to keep changing it up, I feel like, kind of see what works and what doesn't.
We always have like a ton of stories picked out, and then usually based on time, we kind of like, we can't quite do all that in a video, whatever. So I don't know. If you have any thoughts on what we do, either feature discussion or more news bites, I'd love to hear you.
Yeah, that would be great, actually. Again, we're kind of trying to see what works and what doesn't. I have a lot of fun talking about stuff like we just did today, but we want to make sure you're enjoying it too. That's what's most important. So we're going to come back next week, do some news stories, talk about, again, for the games we think you should be playing, that we like, and we'll go from there. But thank you for tuning in this week. We really appreciate it. Remember, you can always hit subscribe, and if you want to be part of the discussion, you can leave us a comment below. That'd be awesome. And you can find us on Twitter. So, for Bree, for Chris, that's not right. I'm Chris. That's Bree.
I'm Bree.
That's
for
the
dog. For Bree.
Fantastic ending. Swish. Anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. Until next time.
Good luck.
And have fun. You're not Chris. I'm Bree. No, I'm Chris.
I am not Chris.
You're Bree. I'm Chris. This is a table.
All right.
Oh, very.
Very good.